Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me. In this 10-minute tune-up, I'm going to talk about some pro pricing strategies for your parts website. A strong pricing strategy can get more shoppers to buy, meaning more sales for you. Pricing can also affect your marketing return on investment with PPC ads or pay-per-click ads, so it really does affect your web store success across the board. This is the first installment in a three-part series about increasing your online part sales. So if you want to optimize your parts website and get profits to the next level, then make sure to check out the next two videos as well. To MSRP or not to MSRP. Simply put, MSRP will not work when you're selling parts online. The online market is more competitive and people are looking for an attractive price, so at MSRP, you will struggle to make any sales at all. And of course, you can't be profitable if you can't sell anything in the first place. The idea of setting lower margins is scary, but when you do the math, it actually makes sense. Selling online is typically about volume sales, so even though you make less profit on individual parts, you'll make it up through quantity. Let's say you've got a part where cost is $5. Would you rather sell four of these parts for $7.50 each or one part at MSRP for $10? At $7.50, you end up with $10 gross profit. At MSRP, you only get 5. Now, obviously, this is a simplified and small scale example, but the same logic applies when you get tens of thousands in sales. And the thing is, getting those 4 orders should not mean 4 times more work. When you get into a groove and set up an efficient system, you can process and ship those orders in bulk so it won't take much more time than just handling one order. It's all about finding that sweet spot between what customers are willing to pay and what's profitable for you. Setting up a pricing table. Since we can't rely on MSRP, the best practice is to use a cost plus strategy for pricing. Now, that said, if you set cost plus 18% across the board, your high end and low end items will be disproportionately affected. Your expensive parts will get so expensive that shoppers won't want to buy, and cheap parts will be below the point of profitability. So we recommend setting up tiered pricing called a pricing table or pricing matrix to balance out your prices. This helps your pricing stay profitable yet competitive. And it's actually much simpler than it sounds. Just break your inventory into a few different price tiers. You can add as many as you want, but you should have at least 3 or 4. As you can see in the table on the slide, we started with parts in the $0 to $10 range, and that's off MSRP, and marked them up at 22% over cost. Then as the value of the parts increased, the markup over cost decreased. That's going to help you find some balance. Again, this is a very basic example, and these specific numbers are not necessarily what would perform best on your store. We found that how you set up your pricing matrix really depends on your brand, so keep that in mind and tweak the numbers every now and then to test what works best. Also, a quick Google search to see where the competition is at can work wonders. And on top of that, Revolution Parts also lets you set different pricing between brands and for parts versus accessories. Selling what's profitable. The good news is you don't have to sell everything in your inventory. You can actually pick and choose what gives you the best margins. So for example, oversized parts will cost more to ship. High shipping prices mean shoppers are less likely to buy, but it's going to be more hassle when they actually do. The same goes for tiny parts like bolts and screws. When the part only sells for a few cents, packaging and labor can make the part more hassle than it's worth. So simply raise the cost plus margin on low value parts or exclude them completely. On the flip side, some dealers see especially high margins on parts they can buy in bulk, like windshield wipers and oil filters, etc. By buying an entire pallet of a part you know sells, you can actually lower your price on those and undercut your competitors. Despite getting a lower margin on individual parts, you can make up for it in volume. Shipping and handling fees. Contrary to popular belief, you actually don't have to offer free shipping. On marketplaces like eBay or Amazon, it can certainly help your sales, but that doesn't mean you have to eat the cost. You can bake shipping cost into the part's main price and then still list it as free shipping. Some dealers will set a bit of padding on their shipping costs, not enough to scare away shoppers, but enough that they can get a little extra margin on the sale. Margins are already pretty slim, so this is another way to make the process more profitable for your team. Usually somewhere between 5 and 10% over retail should do the trick. And as a side note, sometimes it's actually better to pick 2 main carriers and always ship through those instead of every option available. We recommend USPS and one other, UPS or FedEx. Focusing on those 2 carriers, you can actually qualify for discounts in some cases and save on shipping costs along the way. And of course, reducing your shipping costs will let you keep more of your earnings. That's going to be it for this video, so thanks again for joining me. As a final thought, just know that you don't have to offer the lowest price in order to get sales. Most shoppers look for a mix between part cost, and shipping speed. And other factors are also going to make a difference, like how easy your website is to use and whether or not there's support available to help the shopper find the right part they need. Make sure to tune in for the next video in this series about growing part sales, which is going to be marketing mastery. I'm going to break down how you can get your site promoted to shoppers so they can find your store and start buying. It's absolutely necessary for your success online and a topic that a lot of dealers overlook. So see you there.